Okay, so very good morning once again to everybody. This is our live non-farm payroll session. It's U.S. actually and Canadian employment numbers. So it's a good time to kind of see the markets go crazy a little bit here. We have a couple of good things to talk about, and we'll see if we can pull a trading opportunity or two out of some of the coming news here. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hello, Hoffies. Good afternoon from Holland. Good to see you. All right, so let's head over here to the charts. Well, okay, here's what we're going to be looking at. So for everybody, a couple of things to say first. Number one, happy to have you guys with us. Very happy to have everyone here. And we might have some audio issues here and there. Is audio definitely coming through good for everybody? Looks like Hoffies is having some issues. Sound coming through good for everyone? Good. All right, it's low for Derek. Good. Okay, so anyone's having audio issues, just log out, log back in. That usually fixes it all. Okay. So a couple of things to talk about. First of all, for anybody, I've invited some outside of the trade group people, and I'm very happy to have some friends joining us today. People inside the trade group know how we approach news announcements and how we're a little bit careful about that. And so what we want to make sure of is that if you're holding positions, if you're trying to do something ahead of the news, be careful, because usually it can get a little bit tricky. So just kind of keep that in mind. And let's not try to gamble these markets too much. Let's not try to do anything too crazy here. Let's play the odds the best we can. Let's make sure that we're well positioned for potentially a decent amount of volatility. If you're trading any CAD pairs, any of these other pairs, make sure you're positioned for, a day in the market that could be a bit of a crazy day. It may not be, it might be, but just make sure you're not taking too much extra risk there. The other thing is, any questions you have, any comments you have, just feel free to type them into the chat. And let's just kind of look at how these charts are setting up. I'm going to talk about a couple of things that we have been watching and tracking and trading within the trade group for, the last couple of hours, days, weeks, whatever it might be. So that's kind of how we're going to approach things this morning. So we're about 10 minutes out. We've got the Canadian numbers and the U.S. numbers all at the same time. We're not going to really try to guess things too much. We're going to let the news hit. We're going to see what the reaction is. One thing that we've talked about in the trade group here is that we've got, some areas that we want to trade to. And so if the news gets us there, great. If not, then so be it. So that's kind of where we're going. One second. Okay. So basically, what we want to see happen here is, first and foremost here, for anybody, does anybody in here, I know a lot of people in here, have the 15-minute trade course or the scanner course, or I know we have members of the scanner group. Anybody in here know what we're talking about there? Because if you do, we have some interesting stuff happening on this dollar CAD. Now, the dollar CAD of all the pairs will be subject to potentially the most volatility, right? We're having two news announcements hit this at the same time, the U.S. side and the Canadian side. There we go, Corey. Who doesn't? I love it. Okay, great, got both. Excellent. So what we have setting up here on this dollar CAD now, this thing is, we're going into a pretty heavy news announcement, and we've obviously been talking about this in the trade group a little bit. We've got a good bar count and not a ton of space to work with here, but as we come into some of these news announcements here, we could see some good Canadian movement, and we could see a nice little setup here. In any normal condition, without a heavy amount of news kind of coming our direction, we would be short. Without the news, we would be short dollar CAD already. We'd just be short. We'd be like, guys, let's dive into this thing. But with news coming, we've got to kind of keep an eye on the potential volatility and some of these things happening. But what we like about the dollar CAD is there's some great targets for this thing to kind of be moving into. So we've got a nice little target right here at 133.90. That's like an ultra high probability area for the dollar CAD to come down into. So we like that. We've got a couple of missed pivots down here, and we've got another great target down here all the way at 130. 131.77. So there's a lot of good targets down here. Here's the counterpart of the dollar CAD argument is there is a lot of great targets up above as well. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the dollar CAD make a little stab at 136 before it really starts to turn around and give us that big move lower. So we have, in a situation like this is a great discussion. This is a great argument. This is a great anything to have. We have great targets above and below, and they're both fairly near term on the dollar CAD, right? So what do we do? Do we trade up? Do we trade down? Well, we use the bar count to kind of help us time entries and to pick direction. So we've got that to help us out. And likewise, if this dollar CAD makes, a big push down, we may have an opportunity to buy it. If it makes a big push up, we might have an opportunity to short it or sell it. So, it's one of those things. That's how we kind of weigh out the odds, and that's what I love to do. Paul, my friend, welcome. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Long time no see, indeed. Good to see you here. So we're going to be watching this dollar CAD. We're going to be seeing where this thing goes, and how the news kind of affects this, and there's, to say the very least, there's some good trading opportunities for this. Nice bar count, great targets. Again, without news, it would be a no-brainer sell trade. We just short it, we take it down, we'd be done, we'd make some pips, boom. And I even talked about in the trade group, I said, as this starts to get up into these highs, we start to see, the 50-ish area, start looking for little short-term sells just to kind of keep us occupied as we go into the news. But we don't really want to be holding anything going into the news here. We want to be just kind of free and clear and ready for whatever kind of movement happens. So this is Canadian/dollar, affected news. So we'll see how that goes. Turning the gray hairs white. I love it. So here is a dollar-only move right here. This would be the euro dollar. We saw a lot of news on with the ECB interest rate and how Europe's kind of jumping on the bandwagon of growth is taking a big backseat to everything. And that really killed the euro yesterday, but somehow it's making a little bit of a comeback. We've got great upper targets on the euro and not very interesting lower targets. So I'm pretty curious to see what the euro is going to do. It's been in a pretty range-bound channel for quite a long time. So not looking for anything too terribly crazy to happen here, but this euro's got some nice upper targets. There's a little daily pivot up here. Here's a nice little target right here, about 11300. And of course, there's a little daily pivot right there. I can see the euro making a move higher on this news. If the U.S. disappoints, big time, we could see a bit of a move up to some of these upper targets. So I want to watch the euro. I want to watch dollar CAD. There's some other CAD pairs that we can trade here. We've got CAD yen that's looking kind of interesting, but the yen is definitely winning, right? When we see kind of global panic happen, the US dollar and the Japanese yen will strengthen. And so that's kind of what we're seeing. We also have a wonderful, fantastic trading opportunity on this Aussie CAD. I really want to trade this Aussie CAD. I sent this out to members of the group a day or two ago and said, Aussie CAD is just my ideal. I want to trade this probably more than any other pair, and I want to trade it long, right? I want to trade the Aussie CAD long, but these lower levels have to get hit first. And you can see that this first lower level got hit to the pip. So that was the area I wanted to see get hit right there, 94.23. Hit it, turned around, ran up, 30, 40 pips. And it's kind of consolidating up here. But we still have these kind of vulnerable areas down here that I want to get hit before I start getting long Aussie CAD. So, couple of things to think about. Let's get ourselves situated here for. Let's put the euro dollar over here. See what that euro dollar's up to. We'll put the dollar CAD on this side. See what this guy's up to. And the news is just moments out. Again, I'm not looking to do anything the first 2 seconds of the news, the first couple of minutes of the news. Whoever has the number first, just type it into the chat there. Go ahead. But we're still about a minute or two from the news getting released, so we'll see kind of how things go. But should be exciting. Should be exciting. But very happy to see everybody here with us. As I said in the email, hopefully everybody got the email. Life has been a little excessively busy for me the last few weeks, and I've been real quiet in the email department and having webinars and inviting people and talking about things that I'm loving to trade right now and so on. So I just wanted to invite everyone together, get us all back together, and see how these markets are treating us. So very happy to see you all once again. So happy to see some familiar names and faces, and very happy to see all the new people that are with us today as well. Okay, guys, we're just seconds away here. And good to see you, Manjit. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see what this news has for us, shall we? So any moment now, you can see a little bit. We should see a little bit of movement, and hopefully, what do you know? The dollar CAD sells off. 15-minute trade sings again. And that's great. That's great. Let's see what kind of numbers we have here. Nice little sell-off on that dollar CAD. We were looking for U.S. Average hourly earnings came out better than expected. That's a big deal. 0.1% previously looking for a 0.3, got a 0.4. That's definitely something to celebrate for sure. We see that dollar CAD just coming down like a dream. Just like a dream. Let's see what it can do for us here. All right, and nice little euro spike, as we mentioned. We were definitely looking for some movement up and some movement down, and we got it. Thanks, 20K? Like as in, woo, boy, that's a really, really bad little situation. We have had some pretty, if you look at the previous numbers here, 304,000, 20K, yeah, that is a huge stunner for sure. We have better than expected by a long shot on the Canadian employment numbers. Let's see what our employment rate's looking like. So employment rate stays steady. Canada blows up the expectation. Still lower than previous numbers, but very good numbers for Canada. Keeps unemployment rate about the same. U.S. improves unemployment rate somehow by creating almost no jobs. But that's why we're getting a little bit of activity around these areas. So it makes the dollar CAD seem like a excuse me, like a pretty darn good option here. Euro, we'll see. The euro is too weak to want to really get long euro dollar, but we're seeing a little bit of dollar shocking weakness as well with that kind of movement. So let's go back to this dollar CAD here. Nice little move there, right? And what did we say? We want to get this target, this 133.90 target hit. And I would say that's a pretty easy, realistic situation in the next couple of minutes. We got down to 133.98, and looks like we're going to get that bump into 133.90. We've got a lot of great targets down here as well. 15-minute trade strikes again, works beautifully, even with a news announcement right there. So nice high bar count, 450-ish or so bars, whatever that count was, right before the news. Everything worked pretty well there. Anyone holding on to any dollar CAD shorts that they're particularly excited about? I think if we can get this puppy to pull back a little bit, we might have a trade to work with and talk about and discuss. But we'll watch this dollar CAD for a couple of moments. This should mean that our Aussie CAD is doing something good for us as well, which is very exciting. Very exciting. Hi, Dorothy. Good to see you. So Aussie CAD's making a nice little push. I won't try to short the Aussie CAD for any reason here, but I do like that Canadian dollar strength. But if this thing gets down there a little bit, this is going to be a great buying opportunity. How about the New Zealand CAD? Hold back just a hair, Markets are rocking and rolling. I love all the CAD pairs, almost all the CAD pairs right now, which is not always the case. Took the 15-minute trade from last night, paid off just now. Greg, you are the man. Nice work on that one. That was a great little trade. Great little trade indeed. Nice work. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Okay, so things are kind of cranking around here, and I'm just watching this thing. It's this, as far as a scalp or a really short-term kind of trade goes, if this dollar CAD pulls back a little bit, gets a few pips higher, that 133.90 is basically a guaranteed target. But we also have some really, really great targets down here. If the CAD really starts to take off, we could see that area really get filled in down there. So I think it's pretty good. Got out with 10 pips, 45 minutes before the news. Wish I stayed in, but I'd be crying if it went the other way. Corey, well said, my man. That is absolutely the truth. And that's trading, guys. Remember, I mean, it's easy to say, okay, we had a 15-minute trade, everything was perfect here, but we're definitely taking some risk. I mean, news can cause a lot of things to happen. So we got to be careful with that. Hey, Manjit. Yep. That's right. Profit is always good. I feel like, Manjit, there's a JJ rule number. I don't know what the count is right now, but my other saying, nobody ever went broke taking profit. So anybody that 38 rules, good grief, we're doing good. So yeah. Anytime you can take some bucks on a trade, that's a good day. That's a good day. Whether it's 1 pip or 50 pips, we're always making progress in the right direction when we take profit. Good, Magic. Glad you got in that New Zealand CAD. I really like that New Zealand CAD, and truth be told, this was a nice little pending order for the live trade group, but didn't quite get filled. We were looking for just about 10 pips higher than that high to get filled, and it's coming down nicely. But that trade is far from over. That's a big, long-term, beautiful trade, and we will readjust some of those entries as we get into into the close of the market and into next week. But beautiful little area right there. So yep, we're looking for some of those amazing lower targets. I think New Zealand CAD's going to be a really, really great trade. Yeah. Oh, we got the New Zealand dollar. I haven't been watching New Zealand dollar too much, but yeah, it's making a little bit of a move. Got a nice little weekly pivot and daily pivot to go after. So good stuff, guys. Good stuff. I love to see these moving along here. Euro pretty much staying put, but you know, for anybody that's going to be watching this over the next little bit, just in case, let me see what these, let me see what we got for the revised numbers, because I think we'll have some revisions here. Ooh, they revised the U.S. numbers up from that 304 to 311, no problem. And everything else seems to be pretty status quo there. 3.8 improvement on the U.S. U.S. is an interestingly mixed bag here. Earnings are always a big deal. That's always a big deal, hourly earnings, and that improved. Unemployment rate improved, but we had such a stellar blockbuster disappointment right here on those numbers. It's you know, it's not really killing the, you know, the dollar movement, but it's enough that it kind of just takes the steam out of everything. If these were all great, we'd see probably some really great dollar movement. If they were all bad, we'd see something. But this is horrible, and these two are pretty good. So it really kind of mixes up that dollar movement a little bit. Canada, though, doing a good job with those nice employment numbers, and keeping that unemployment rate nice and steady. So good stuff. So I'm not going to be surprised to see, and you know, for anybody that's feeling a little scalpathon here, I won't be surprised to see the euro dollar make its way up into 11300. It's, you know, it's 70 pips. It could be a slow, steady trickle and a grind, but we could see a slow movement up there. But I think there's quite a bit of euro weakness, so it's not going to be a real aggressive movement. Yep, there you go. Thanks, Craig. Greg, look at that. Yeah, we've got a nice little target hit right there, just right on the money. So very nice little trade. Bo, a long-term target on dollar CAD. That's a super good question. I think that a medium-term lower target is absolutely 100% this 131, you know, 75, 80 area. That would be my medium-term lower target. 136 is kind of my medium-term upper target. To be honest, I don't know that I really have an ultra good sense of, you know, of do we have, you know, do we have a massive trend developing? So I'm kind of keeping it reined in just a little bit and saying, you know, I could see it going a couple of hundred pips in either of these directions. If the dollar CAD makes a big push down into, you know, 130, 175, I could see it potentially getting bullish from there. I don't know that we're going to see, I mean, we will see it, but I don't know how long it's going to take to kind of get to that ultra long-term trend with dollar-related stuff. So I think the dollar is going to be a, you know, a bit of a range-bound currency for a while to come. But I like 130, 175, and I like 136. Those are the two great upper and lower targets on dollar CAD. So far we've seen a nice hit, a nice test of that 133.90. Beautiful little target there. Congrats on everybody that made some money on that. I, you know, at least for the near term, I really like this dollar CAD continuing to sell off. I like New Zealand CAD, you know, ultimately continuing to sell off. And I like that it's pulling back a little bit. That's awesome. I want to get this up a little bit higher, then start really shorting the heck out of that thing. And Aussie CAD's the only one that I really want to get long in, but that's after, you know, 100 pips of dropping from here. So that one's going to take a little bit of time. So long Aussie CAD, 100 pips lower. Short dollar CAD, New Zealand CAD, you know, at around or higher than current market prices. So as you can see, you know, we want to get this thing to run down, and then we'll buy those dips. And the rest of them, we want to trade them down and kind of go for it from there. I'm not just going to buy dips here, you know, like with a pending order on this Aussie CAD. I want to make sure it can get down here, and then it's going to hold, and then it's going to be able to hang in there. Because I'll be short other CAD pairs like New Zealand CAD and dollar CAD. And so, you know, if there's a big momentum run, I don't want to be trying to buy a falling Aussie CAD. We'll just hold our dollar CAD, New Zealand CAD shorts, and it'll be awesome, awesome. Okie dokie. Okay, so that's kind of what we have coming from these CAD pairs. Do I think there will be some additional opportunities here going over the next couple of hours with this dollar CAD? Absolutely. Here's what I see happening here, and this may or may not happen during our live session. But what I could see happening is I could see this dollar CAD pulling back a little bit, and if it does, that is totally great. I could see this kind of a movement right here, pulling back, retesting this 134.40 to 134.60, and then one good little stab lower there. So I would say that we're probably going to get at least a 134.40 pullback. And then I think this could be a great opportunity to continue shorting it and trading it on downward to at least, daily pivot. We have that daily pivot, weekly pivot, beautiful target down here. So I think this is a great opportunity to continue shorting and taking down after a little bit of a pullback. So that's what I'll be looking for today. And as the morning goes on dollar CAD, New Zealand CAD, we've got our order there, and it's still valid and good, and it's going to require management for sure. But I think this is going to be a great trade on New Zealand CAD, so I really like that. And then we're waiting on that Aussie CAD as we spoke about. Yeah, let's get some pullback here. In fact, yeah. I'm not going to I won't put a pending order there, but I do want to get some pullback and see if we can get this thing to break through that 133.90 area. It's a great little spot. Okay, as far as dollar pairs go, by the way, this beautiful dollar peso, I know some people made some bucks on the dollar peso. That was such a great mover, so hopefully as many people as possible made some money on that dollar peso. It took a long time to play out, but and I bring that up because as far as other dollar pairs go, I am sitting and watching and waiting because I think some of these other dollar pairs might be a little bit, I don't know, might be a little bit interesting, but will be something to keep an eye on. Euro dollar, I think, has a great opportunity and chance, as mentioned, to go to that 11300. We're at 112.30. Do I think euro dollar is going to hit 11300? I would say pretty likely scenario. Pretty likely scenario there. We've got some great upper targets here. If the dollar is ready to take a breather, which I don't know that it is, we've got some great upper targets on the Aussie dollar as well, as it comes off that just fantastic 7,000 area, right? So we hit, to the pip, 7,000 on Aussie dollar, and it's coming off that pretty nicely. So I can see this Aussie dollar starting to, rally, starting to give us a little bit of a push. We'll see how that plays out. If that just turns out to be a huge reversal candle, then, we won't do anything with it. But kind of looking to see where some of those Aussie pairs might go. But I think that Aussie dollar looks pretty good there. So I think that's kind of what we're going to be watching for. We're going to be looking for a little bit of a push higher on euro dollar, a little pullback on New Zealand CAD and dollar CAD, and then start shorting those puppies. And I think that's probably going to be the best place to put our time and energy going into the close of the market. So good stuff. Look what our dollar index is doing over here. How many times have we talked about this thing? Dollar index has some fantastic lower targets that are just waiting to get hit, but it's not looking like the most exciting environment to be short U.S. dollar with global panic happening. But what a great little double or triple top we have right there, and that's a level we've been watching very, very closely. Dollar index really has to get below 9,500 before we start feeling very, very bearish. But right now, that triple top is a great spot to say, okay, here's a breathing point for the dollar index. And we're probably going to have some nice little lower targets to go after. There's some pivots, daily pivots, weekly pivots, market imbalances down here. The dollar index is ready for some pullback for sure. And we're definitely seeing that be the case right here. So that's kind of what we're looking at, guys. That's kind of where things are. There's no doubt about the fact that that the markets have been a little bit more range bound, right? The whole month of February has not been an amazing moving month, right? It's been, we've had some movements, we've had some trades in there, we've had some pips and profits, but February has just felt like it's been a struggle, right? Trading has felt like it's been a little more difficult than it needs to be, and I'm definitely backed up on that um, with the fact that all the brokers have been reporting their February numbers, and volume is down across the board, right? A lot of people are sitting on the sidelines, kind of waiting for the movements to really, get clear again, and they're very, very much, a lot of range-bound movement. But the exciting thing about that, we can't force the market to do anything. And sometimes when it gets a little bit sideways like this, we have to just say, all right, we'll wait for it, and we'll be ready for the movement whenever the movement happens. But the exciting thing is that these consolidations, these range-bound movements that we've seen happening. Dollar CAD has had a pretty nice move. That's been great. But as we have kind of these range-bound markets, it's such a good opportunity to say a breakout is coming. A massive breakout is coming, and we've seen so much sideways movement across so many pairs that we watch, where it's just chop, 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 sideways, sideways, sideways. But that is usually a very, very good sign of a bigger breakout, a bigger movement. And what I like to look at is is I like to trade pre-summer movements. So pre-summer movements are where we go into kind of that last, those last couple of months going into summer. So April, May, June can be a very, very good time for the markets to really unleash and make a big move for it, right? And make a nice big push. And there's a lot of volume that pours into the market. So here we are in kind of what's the date here today? March. We're the first week of March. We're going into the second week of March here. The pre-summer movement can definitely happen, as early as March, and usually somewhere around April we start to get that big high volume push, and that's super awesome. I love those big high volume pushes. So this consolidation can be just kind of building strength and building momentum for that next big run and that next big push, and I'm excited to see that happen. So while we had a little bit of a slower February, I think March is looking good. It's kind of starting out nicely, and I think we're going to have some other great opportunities in there as well. So it should be awesome. Eric, do you think dollar yen will behave the same like dollar CAD? I have been very much on the sidelines with the dollar yen, and I haven't been trading it too much because I was interested in yen pairs. And then we had kind of that little flash crash in here that happened the very first part of January, and I just kind of stepped away from yen pairs because they've been so sideways and so range bound that I've just kind of thought, you know what, dollar yen, I don't know what you're going to do. So I think if the dollar yen is kind of a tricky one because when we have, the big news right now is growth coming to a screeching halt, right? Our company's going to stop expanding at the rate they have been? Is the stock market, is the economy going to stop expanding at the rate that it has been? If so, the dollar usually starts to, build some strength and some momentum, but so does the yen. And the dollar yen turns into an argument, right? Who is going to be the safer haven? Who's going to be the better one to really make the move? And the dollar yen kind of turns into a battle between, where more of the more of the safety is felt, right? So that's one of the reasons I don't really trade dollar yen too often, because both of those currencies kind of represent the same thing. So I tend to stay away from dollar yen. So I don't really know what I think the dollar yen will do. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking for there. Richard, nice to see you, Richard. Looks like we lost Andrew to no sound. Sorry, Andrew, it's a bummer. Richard, Aussie New Zealand. I like the Aussie New Zealand a lot. As you guys have heard me talk about many times. Let me see what this dollar CAD's doing for a second. It's pulling back pretty nicely. Aussie New Zealand is very good in my book, very good, and it's dipping down here, and we're excited to just continue scaling into this position. So many drawings on here. With these upper targets, still like Aussie New Zealand a lot. We're getting a little bit of a New Zealand move today, but we have a couple of. Oh yeah, so later today, CPI for China, and then Powell speaking. Okay, so yeah, I still like this Aussie New Zealand. I think for anybody in for a nice long-term trade, Aussie New Zealand's awesome, and I think it'll be a great opportunity. The lower it goes, the more I will continue to buy it. So 10300 is great. We could see a big double bottom at 10200. Any and all of the below are good opportunities to get long and stay long Aussie New Zealand. So remember, we had that flash crash, with a lot of those Aussie pairs, and this ran down and tapped 10200 basically on the nose. There's 101.92, but that's 10200 right there. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see that get retested. I mean, that's definitely a real possibility. Is it going to head down that low? I don't know. I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm set on that happening. We have so many wonderful upper targets on this Aussie New Zealand that any dips it makes, I will continue to buy. Yeah, we could see that 10200 revisited. It's not out of the question. Okay, guys. So basically, what I think our best time and energy and effort is going to be dedicated towards is watching and waiting. Watching and waiting. Aussie CAD, I want to buy the heck out of those dips. Euro dollar, I may try to take a scalp towards those upper areas. New Zealand, we're seeing a little bit of a New Zealand push, but I still like selling New Zealand CAD at higher prices, and I like selling dollar CAD at some of these higher prices. Remember, 134.40. As long as it can kind of stay below some of these, upper resistance areas, I think this dollar CAD can be a very nice continued selling opportunity. So pretty excited about that. And it's pulling back nicely. Nice little pullback there. Great little pullback. Dennis, gold? Yeah, gold. What do I think about gold? All I wanted gold to do was hit this target, and it's reacting pretty well. It's reacting pretty well. It hit that target, was unable to head any lower. Gold still has some big lower targets here that it could be going into, but on the way down, this kind of violent sell-off to that target that we talked about, it left a lot of upper open areas. So we've got a monthly pivot, weekly pivot, daily pivots all over the place, market imbalances up there, and so on. So I could see gold kind of coming back up and retesting some of these breakout zones potentially before continuing to sell off. So yeah. Right now the decision point is 1285, and I think we're probably going to get a push up here, maybe into that 1315 ish area, and we can start kind of watching it to see where it goes from there. But yeah, gold's looking good. Looking good. Okay, guys, what do you guys think? Questions, comments, any details? Any details about any of that stuff? What do you guys think? Let's go get it. Let's do it. Okay, I love it, Bob. I love it. Okay, guys. So that's going to be kind of the thing to watch this morning. I will comment for members in the trade group how we end up and what we end up doing with this dollar CAD. If we take a sell trade on this puppy, if we short it again later this morning, and I will also be commenting on that New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD and Euro dollars. So I'll be posting that in the members chat and in the members website and all those areas there. So that should be great. Mel, good to see you, my man. Close the dollar CAD for some profit. Good, good, good. Watching for a pullback. I love it. I love it. That's excellent. Thanks, Lester. You have a great weekend as well. Yeah, guys, I think there's definitely some good opportunities here. So let's keep our eyes and ears open, and let's see if we can grab some nice trades here. But I will post the details over the next, immediately to over the next couple of hours. I think these setups are absolutely worth watching, so let's keep an eye on that. But thanks, everyone, for joining us. As always, good to see my awesome members of this trade group. And to everybody else that is visiting and joining us today, very, very welcome. So happy you were able to make it and participate with us in the group this morning. Look at some trade setups that we have coming and some things that we're excited about. And super good to see you guys. So glad to be back in contact with many of you, and I hope you guys all have a super awesome, super excellent, fantastic weekend. Thanks, everyone. Good to see you all, and we will catch up. Like I said, I'll be posting these trade alert updates for members, and then we will be back for our regular Monday morning webinar, and we'll see how things are looking Monday morning for us. Good to see you, Paul. Glad to have you back with us for this morning. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and a very happy Friday to you. And all right, I love it. I love it. Good to see you all, and Paul, and see you, Paul, on Monday morning as well. Thanks, guys. Take care, and we'll see you soon. See you guys.